And a lot of people are scared to fly with their gun. There's something instinctive, this feels wrong. I shouldn't be able to take a gun with me on a plane. And that's just not the case, is it?
No, easier than you think.
Yes.
In fact, I was shocked the first time I checked a firearm. It is, actually now, again, I guess there is a snag here, which is that the airline and the TSA, they're not going to forewarn you that the state that you're going to won't let you legally possess that firearm. So that's where people really get snagged up here. You still have to do your research ahead of time. If you're a Texan and you're like, I'm flying to New York, the airport is not going to tell you, and TSA is not going to tell you that you're going to get arrested when you hit the ground in New York. So you really do still have to do your initial legwork here. But we are talking generally about hard-sided locking cases, unloaded firearms, and check your airline actually, because the airlines, some have slightly different requirements about exactly how they want your ammunition encased. For example, some airlines want it to be in the original manufacturer's packaging you bought it in. So just call the airline ahead of time, make sure you've got that ammunition stored away. Ammunition is going to go in that hard-sided locking case. You're going to declare it at check-in. I have found that it takes about an extra 5 minutes to check in with a firearm. I don't know if you've found the same.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah. So it is quite easy. And I will say, though, TSA approved locks do make your life easier, because the TSA, they might go inspect that firearm, make sure it truly is unloaded. If you've got the TSA approved lock, you don't have to be called back to open the box for them later. It's just kind of you don't have to go through security twice. And I'll say from personal experience, once from flying with shotguns, make sure that you've got that lock in every place you can put a lock on the case. If they can sort of pry the case open in any spot, they will call you back. They will not let you fly with that gun. Don't have your hard-sided lock shotgun case with not a lock through every hole, because the TSA might get on you.
And so just as a practical walkthrough, as a gun owner, what it might look like. You're transporting your everyday carry, your handgun. Most handgun cases do not meet the minimum size requirements required by airlines. So that's going to go inside of a larger piece of checked luggage. So kind of the process that you would go through, make sure there's no loose ammunition or anything like that in the bags that you're going with. But, you have your hard-sided container, your semi-automatic pistol unloaded, slide locked open, placed in the case, ammunition enclosed. That could be, it could be in the magazine, but the magazine would have to have a cover.
Well, but again, check with your airline
again, yes. But to avoid the civil, we'll talk about that. To avoid the civil enforcement penalty, the ammunition has to be enclosed, and then your airlines may tack on those extra things. But so could be in the same box, closed, locked up, or maybe you leave it unlocked, for when you get to the airport. You go in, counter, hi, I'm flying with a firearm today. A lot of times you'll open it in their presence. If the slide's locked open, it's easy for them to visually see, hey, this firearm's unloaded. Locking it, going inside of your larger piece of checked luggage, goes on the carousel with all the other bags. And depending on the airport that you're landing in, I've seen some where they do set your bags aside at the end. Or they, would be at your airline's counter at where you pick up your bags.
Sometimes not.
Yeah, sometimes it just shows up on the carousel with all the other bags. So I will say there is some variation between airports.
Yeah, absolutely. But generally speaking, much easier than you would imagine. Where you really get snagged up when you're trying to fly with a firearm is those people who don't declare it, right? You still have to declare it. You can't just do all the steps,
right? Put
it in the hard-sided lock case, put it in your checked luggage, unload it, do everything right, and not declare it, because you will get a fine for that. And then, of course, if you were to accidentally leave a firearm or ammunition in your carry-on luggage, go through TSA security with it, that's going to be a problem we probably don't even have time to discuss in this.
Well, I will mention one thing: the fine. So if you accidentally carry on with a firearm, or you don't declare and it shows up in your bag, they do have civil enforcement through the TSA, and those fines can go up to $13,910.
Yes.
So depending on what it is, if it's a singular piece of ammunition, they treat it different than a loaded firearm, different than something else. So just be very careful. That's a very, very expensive fine.
And once you actually commit the offense, by the way, it is for the most part strict liability. So I didn't know that there was a firearm in my carry-on bag. isn't going to cut it for the civil fine portion. And we are finding right now the federal government is taking upwards of 2 or 3 years to actually issue people those letters of civil fines.
Yes.
People are forgetting they even did this, and they're getting slapped with these nasty, nasty fines. If you have done this recently, start saving now.
Yeah.
Because you've got a couple years to put the money away.